I might give it 2 more minutes. I am quoting your research. I will be shouting explore out, if that's all right. I didn't ask for your permission. I kind of hoped you would be all right with it.
So. That's what it's all about.
Collaboration. Hit it. Seriously, this is just going to... Oh my goodness me. I'll just see if there's a crowd of people waiting to get in.
It's not that I don't want to see YouTube.
You're in the wrong room, aren't you, Neil? I know, I thought you were, Neil. Look at that. I haven't even started and I've lost one already. Set the bar high, that's what I say. Okay, well, I think we'll get going, guys, if you don't mind. There might be a couple that join us in a moment. So welcome, thank you ever so much for choosing to come along to this session today. My name is Julie Allen, or Jules as most of you will know me. I am the Business Development Director for a company called Active Insight. And it's my 3rd time actually presenting at independent gyms, and it's always an absolute joy to be here, part of the conference, and sharing our insight with you guys. If you've ever been to one of my sessions before, as Rob pointed out, my voice does tend to go, and you can hear it's probably on its way out. So please bear with me whilst I keep chugging on some more caffeinated drinks. But it's going to be an interactive session. So if there's anything that you think, actually, Jules, can we talk about this? Or I want to share my experience, or whatever that might be, this session is all about you. So feel free to ask questions. There will be, as you would expect, a Q&A at the end as well. And I'm obviously around for the rest of the day if you'd rather catch up on a one-on-one basis. So, a little bit about who we are at Active Insight. Come in? Are we coming in? Oh, thanks, Laura. Everyone's waiting now, aren't they? I don't know whether to carry on. Do I stop? No, they've chosen another one. Maddie is great. It's a tough gig, isn't it? So, Active Insight, who are we? How do we support the industry? Well, there are 3 pillars to who we are. Firstly, we host an event, or several events actually throughout the year, where we bring operators and suppliers together through an event called ActiveNet. And we are actually bringing a new event on the 13th of February in 2024 at Stansted for the private sector. And I'll share some more details about that at the end. But like I say, we bring the industry together. There are scheduled learning and development sessions, evening meal, networking, etc. Then we deliver a lot of consultation and a lot of research into the industry, and I'll be sharing that insight with you today. And that insight ranges from our consumer insight panel, where we have access to 62,000 respondents within the UK. Hi there, welcome. Through to delivering focus groups with users and inactive people as well. And it's really wonderful and an absolute privilege to deliver those, because we stay really close to the reason why people are and may not be active. Hi there. And then lastly, we work with operators across all of the sectors, support your members. So we help you measure and manage your customer experience through a number of platforms. From our consumer insight panel, so this, like I say, is a panel of 62,000 people that we can go out to and understand regularly what are the barriers to being physically active. What are the encouragement factors? Do people even want to be more physically active? Now, I haven't got any prizes with me today, but does anyone know out of 10 on average how many people have a desire to be more physically active? 10. Well, yeah, so on a... Oh, any advances on 7? 8. We've worked together, Joe. Yeah, 8.5 out of 10. We go out to the panel regularly. There is a desire to be more active, and I put myself in that group as well. So through our consumer insight panel, we, like I say, are constantly going out, understanding inactive users and those that are active as well. Now, what we do with that insight, we come and deliver these sessions with you guys, but we use that to inform a number of software platforms that we have that help you, like I say, measure, monitor, and improve your customer experience. From the point of sale all the way through to the point of cancellation. And we're going to talk a little bit today around some of the data you can get, and I'll be sharing some insight with you, as you would imagine, and we'll be exploring the Net Promoter Score as well. So a little bit about us. So today we're going to talk about what is a customer experience. We're going to talk about engagement, starting off strong. Sleepers to keepers. We'll talk about your culture. But then we're going to talk about how do we wrap this up? How do we measure this? How do we know if we are delivering on our promise? How do we know if we are creating the experience that we set out and we promised to deliver in the first place? So, whilst the title of today's session is your retention strategy, if you've been again to one of my sessions before, you'll know how I feel about the word retention. Now, we know that when we retain customers, obviously, that's much better for the bank balance, better for the bottom line. However, I want us to think differently. I want us to have an engagement strategy. Rather than think, oh, how do I stop them going? How do we keep them coming? Because actually, we know extensively through our research that if we onboard our members effectively, they stay far longer than if suddenly we put something in at the point that somebody's attendance is dropping off. So I'd really urge you today to start to think differently for your New Year members, that actually we don't want them to be gone by March. We want to create raving fans. And I'm going to break that down. And this is, again, a phrase you're going to hear a lot from me in today's session. What is a raving fan? Well, a raving fan is somebody who is absolutely aligned with your vision, your values, gets you, loves you, trains hard with you. We just had a great conversation about some of your members who will come and give you feedback. They are your raving fans, right? They're there, they're with you, they get it. What do your raving fans do? Well, they bring in quality leads, quality referrals, like-minded people with shared values. So they're bringing in quality leads for you. This leads to increased sales. This leads to increased visit frequency. Average weekly visit is less than once a week. We know that if our members visit twice a week or more, they stay significantly longer. It's not rocket science, is it? But they visit more. They have a higher concessionary spend with you, which leads to increased profit, increased investment, and that simply continues. Is that a Christmas song? Because I think I'm starting to get there for the festive spirit. I wasn't quite, but I think I am now. So raving fans. When I talk about this, it sounds like a nice statement, but actually the business case behind it speaks for itself. We bring in those quality leads, increased sales, increased investment, increased profit, and that cycle simply continues. Anyone heard this in their clubs recently? Anyone ever heard it? New Year's sale, don't worry, they'll be gone by March. And it amazes me because everyone goes, oh yeah. I'm thinking, oh my God, that's crazy. I can't think of any other business model which allows the cost of the acquisition, 3 to 5 months of a membership, to let them go by March. That keeps them just for 3 months. But in our industry, we just accept it. So let's see if we can break that. Let's see if we can break that cycle and, not have them gone by March. We want raving fans. We want members with us for life. So this is what we need to start really thinking about. So how are we going to do this? It's all around customer experience. Now again, I did warn you it's going to be interactive. Premier Inn, 3 words. What do you think of when you see that brand? Lenny Henry, budget, fantastic. Clean, yeah, absolutely. Sleep guarantee, yeah. They've got confidence in their brand to say something like that. Sorry, sir, I didn't hear you there. Good night's sleep. See, they've done very well with you. We can even quote what they promised. Good night's sleep. But yeah, we get that consistency. We all knew what Premier Inn meant. We got the message and we understand it. Now, in my role, I'm out on the road a lot. I travel a lot. And I will always opt for a Premier Inn because of that consistency element, that I know I'm pretty much going to get a good night's sleep and da-di-da-di-da-di-da. And again, the thing with Premier Inn is they consistently delight me. So quite often I arrive at silly o'clock in the morning and I'm probably the last person they're expecting to welcome in, but they'll still say something like, oh, Mrs. Allen, we've been expecting you. Oh, thank you. And I feel my shoulders drop, I relax, and I think, wonderful, I know I'm going to be taken care of, and I know everything will be fine. There's been one occasion in the years that I stayed with Premier Inn where the room wasn't ready for me. So they took us a little, does anyone know about the emotional bank account? I won't spend too much time here, I'll briefly go there. So we make a number of promises, whether explicitly through our marketing or implicitly on the experience that's going to be delivered. And as a result of that expectation, we have deposits made. But sometimes things go wrong. And on the occasion that something does go wrong, a withdrawal is made. Now, on that one occasion, because all these times I stayed at Premier Inn, they've always delivered, I was fine with it, because next time I stayed with them, they corrected it well, they put their hands up and said, really sorry, Mrs. Allen, da-da-da-da-da-da. And so I'm a raving fan still. But of course, if we make too many withdrawals, then I'll go and stay somewhere else because I don't trust that brand anymore. I'll try and not go off on too many tangents, but some of you in this room know me. Okay, Disney. Who's been to Disney? Go on, Rob. Talk to me about it.
Attention to detail.
Attention to detail. Fantastic. Anything else? Even if you haven't been to Disney, what does it make you think of? Oh, did you say magical? Yeah, oh look, and you look so happy as well when you said it. I love that. Yeah, absolutely, magical. Yeah, they design that experience, don't they? So they can really ensure that you feel that magic at every touch point. Okay, any Apple fans in the room? So tell me why. You were very...
It works, it doesn't go wrong. If it does, in the occasional situations it goes wrong, you go in there, they put it right, they don't charge you, they don't try and upgrade. Fantastic. Love it. Sorry.
No, don't apologise. I love this. And this is what a raving fan will do, that they'll give you the detail and they usually finish with, love it. It's fantastic. It's great, because they want to share that. When we start to create these feelings, we're talking about your emotions, aren't we? So imagine your brand there. What 3 words would you want your members or your community to think of when they see you? And of course, everyone's different in the room, but if anyone wants to shout out what that would look like.
Community.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cleanliness.
Cleanliness. Very important. Supportive, yeah, definitely. Anything else? This is your brand. Value, fantastic. And value is really important, isn't it? And of course, it comes back to that classic, price is what you pay, value is what you get. What does value look like? In a moment, I've got some data around value and how important that value for money is in terms of acquisition and for your retention strategy. So we need to design our experience, but we don't own the experience. So we need to design the touch points. We need to create an environment that is supportive if that's who you want to be. If you want to create that community feel, well, we're not going to do a session on what does a community look like and feel like, but actually we need to design that, don't we? Typically a community is that sense of belonging. You know people's names, people feel included, they feel supported, etc. Okay. But it's really interesting. I mean, quite often when I go out and work with operators, we spend a lot of time looking at how do you want your members to feel. And typically what happens is, well, we want the sense of community, we want supportive, we want this. And then as the session goes on, well, we do, but they'd probably say at the moment this, that, and there's a discrepancy. So again, we need to bridge that gap between expectation and delivery. Because of course, this is what will keep your members coming back, coming back, coming back. When I was in operations, I'm pretty sure that my team thought I had lost the plot one day because we were talking about our retention strategy and it was becoming very, very complicated. And then I just asked them the question, I said, well, what is our underlying role? What are we here to do? And I heard all sorts of wonderful things, like to provide a war-safe, welcoming environment, and people were reciting their JDs, which was great. But I was like, surely it's simpler than that. We're here to ensure that every time somebody comes through our doors, they come back at least once within the following 7 days. Ideally twice, because then we know that they're going to become a raving fan of ours. And that's it. But the game, of course, is how do we do that? How do we make our members feel like they're part of our community? Okay. So I'm going to take you on a journey now, if you don't mind. This is a true story. Don't worry, I don't think there's anyone in this room. But when we think about how we want our members to feel, I'd really like you to think about, could this happen in your site, in your gym, in your facility? If so, how do you feel about it? How would your member feel about it? Is it possible? So, True story, like I say. So coming through, the receptionist was distracted. And by distracted, I mean head down, simply wasn't ready to welcome me into the facilities, wasn't on the phone, wasn't helping somebody, just simply had head down. Goes to the changing rooms, ignored by the cleaner. Okay, I mean, this usually gets a bit of a, well, Jules, you know, it's not really the cleaner's responsibility to engage with you. I will always argue that. Does anybody know the story about JF Kennedy when he went to NASA and went up to the janitor? Go on, Rob, share it with the team. Share it with the team. It's like we're all a team here. Sorry, I get far too familiar far too quickly.
The guy said, I'm putting a man on the moon.
Yeah, so JF Kennedy goes up to the janitor, asks the question, what's your role here? Fully expecting the answer to be to clean, maintain, da-di-da-di-da, but was completely purpose-driven, and the response was, I'm here to put the first man on the moon. Boom, fantastic. So, my point being, anyone, if they are working within our clubs, needs to understand our purpose, our vision, and help deliver that. I'm pleased it wasn't a tomato. Get her off. So go to the gym, instructor says hi, but you know, obviously it's party season, carries on talking about the Christmas party with colleagues. In this instance, there was a PT session, but my perception, they were just on their phone. So I really felt there was no time for me during that session at all. Coming out, I was ignored by the manager. Now, in this instance, they had a swimming pool, but of course, you know, it could apply for studio, etc. But for the purposes of this true story, it was a swimming pool. Lifeguard just walked straight past me, no eye contact, nothing. And then on the way out, and this is the one that really hurts, I'm getting over it, as you can tell. But the manager was up at reception. One of them said bye. I think it was the receptionist because the manager was there, but I was so kind of out of it by that point. But I got a goodbye, and it was the most insincere, oh, this needs to get said because management's here. So, in terms of your club, you don't have to share this out loud if you don't want to, but could this happen? It's quite an extreme case, but it does happen. Has anyone ever experienced that? Yeah, I'm seeing.
That could happen in ours.
Thank you for being so honest. I'm really, really grateful for that.
It would never happen at my watch, but it could happen at mine.
And that's a really interesting point. And if you don't mind me just using your words there, it wouldn't happen on my watch. And by the way, I love that. Keep that going. But it comes back to that consistency point, doesn't it? That actually, you know, you want to have trust in your entire team that if you weren't there and it was somebody else's watch, that they could deliver the consistent experience that you're expecting. And this from a member's perspective, and I'm sorry, I don't know your name. Dawn. Have we met before, Dawn? No, I feel like we have. No. You probably said hi when I was in your gym. But again, you know, if Dawn's on shift, then we all have a great time and everything's fantastic. But from a new member's perspective coming through, imagine how that must feel if when Dawn's in, we get the hi, we get this, how are you doing today? And then, Rob, I know this isn't the case, but I'm just picking on you because I know your name. But Rob's working and, you know, Rob doesn't want to talk or smile and it's head down. We feel that. I think, oh, did I do something? I mean, again, just to sort of emphasise my point, but I quite like this story. I used to go into this store regularly, and there was this woman who was the happiest person in the world, and I'm pretty lively, but she was something. She'd always be like, hi, how are you doing today? And even I used to find it a bit much. But she was consistent with it until the one day she wasn't. And I was going in fully braced with her, hi, how are you doing? And it didn't come, but I saw her and she saw me, and I was like, And do you know what I did, Dawn? I almost found myself going near her so I could get the hi, how are you doing? Because that was part of the experience that I was expecting. So, absolutely, so it could happen. How do you think your members would feel if this happened?
Do you know what, to be actually honest, I think some quite like the fact that you go in and talk to them.
Oh, we'll explore that in a minute.
It depends on the actual type of person that comes into the gym.
You're absolutely right.
Some people don't want to be spoken to, but they're quite happy just to carry on.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on that?
They will feel like just a number. If no one's actually engaged with them at any point, they just feel like one of your figures to make ends meet.
Yeah, that doesn't feel good, does it? Just to feel like a number, you know, nobody, especially when our promise experience is that we want to make people feel supported, that they're part of a community, that we start to get that massive disconnect, don't we? Now, to come back to,
It's also, not everybody wants to say hi, and I was being quite for a while, I was thinking, I've got a couple of boys, I always say hi, I own the gym, you've got to say hello to me. and 2 boys never said hi, and I like called them up and made them say hi, and I was like, perhaps they just don't want to say hi to me, which is absolutely fine. Some people just want to come in, they've got their head down, they've taken the pre-workout,
they're ready to go.
In the zone.
They are in the zone, and I love that. That said, again, it comes back to us staying true to our purpose and our principles and our values. You know, if we are going to be a community-orientated gym, some people won't want to engage, and they will have their headphones in. There was a huge study undertaken a few years ago that explored all facets of, membership. Why do people do that? What do they do? How important is PT? What impact does Group X have on retention? Well, we know that Group X is really important. I'm not telling you anything you guys don't know, but what I will tell you is members that get involved with Group X are 26% less likely to cancel their membership. Members that report making friends are 40% less likely to cancel their membership, and that's accumulative. So again, it's really, really important, isn't it? However, I firmly believe that if you are a facility where you are going to welcome people in, that we do that, and it's up to the member whether or not, whether they choose to engage with you. Now, in this particular study that I'm referencing, it was of over 10,000 members within the UK. 87% of that 10,000 said that they valued being spoken to by health and fitness. 74% said that they valued being spoken to by front of house team. Those are really, really high levels. Now, from the health and fitness teams that were really valued being spoken to, 47% said it happened regularly. For the front of house team, 44% said it happened regularly. Now, there's a real value around this, but not even half are getting the interaction and the engagement, the meaningful engagement that they really desire when they come into these clubs. So we have the perception of, well, nobody wants to be spoken to because it's headphones in, head down, but maybe the expectation just wasn't there. So for some, there are some that do just want to get in, absolutely, but we can still say hello, hi, great to see you today. And most importantly, when will we see you again? Now, I haven't quite broken out into song with you guys yet, but I don't think I'm far off it. If there's one thing I can give you today to take away as part of your retention strategy, that is to get in the habit of asking the question, when are you in next? When will we see you again? Who asked that question? Brilliant. Do you ask the question?
Depends what team member.
Depends what team member. Again, it aligns with what Dawn has just shared there, doesn't it?
Slightly depends on how much workload and how stressed team are.
And this is really interesting. I had a great conversation actually over lunch, and we were talking about behavioural change. And this sort of really emphasises what we were discussing. And the conversation went like this in a nutshell. Jules, we're just having the same old conversation and nothing's really changing. And I have to challenge operators and ask operators the question, well, are you changing? Are you doing things differently? Is your mindset different? Because if it isn't, we're never going to have different results. And so it's things like, if we don't have the time to say, when will I see you again? Actually, we're never going to shift that needle because you'll keep being busy, acquiring new members, that high churn. So it's how do we break the mold? And it takes time. I've been there. I'm sure if I went back to my old office, there's still that kind of mark on the wall where I'm like, come on, everyone. It does take time, but it's possible. But I really do urge you to start thinking about how to sincerely say, well, when are we going to see you again? And I'll explain why in just a moment. Okay, I am a positive person though, and I couldn't leave it on this slide today because I have absolute confidence in our industry that we can flip it and start to deliver a much more consistent approach. And now I'd like you to think about, well, how does this feel? And does this align with my brand? Does this align with my promise? How does this feel? And again, feel free to stop, shout, tell me what you're thinking. So option 2, option 1, true story. And I have experienced this. This time, I get a warm, friendly greeting at reception. Now again, typically, with independents, we can start to achieve a lot more of this because you do have that smaller community feel. Usually you haven't got lots of gates and people going all over the place, so there is that natural interaction point. That said, option 1, the head was down, people weren't ready to welcome in. Now I started off my career front of house. I know how in a blink of an eye you can go from it being deadly quiet to super busy and queues out the door. So if a warm, friendly greeting verbal isn't possible, we obviously have our body language. And equally, coming back to that emotional bank account that I shared with you, if I'm coming in to train and I can see your front of house is busy, I'm not going to expect everyone to stop and go, whoa, they've got to say hello because I walked through the door. However, what I will be expecting are as many of these touch points to be delivered where they can. So Cleaner says hi. Instructor spends a few minutes showing me something new. Jules, I've not seen you for a couple of days. How are you doing? Oh, I've been out on the road quite a lot. Right, come on, let me just do a quick stretch with you right now and then have a great session. 5 minutes of a coach's time, ultimate value for me. Comes back to value for money, which my friend there shared. PT fully engaged, so I felt like I was really involved and I was a part of the session. Coming out, now I really must update this slide because in this instance, the manager greets and asks if I'm enjoying my visit. But again, coming back to my point around change, you know, I certainly would want team members to feel empowered enough to ask, how's your session going today? And feel that they could deal with the response that came back my way. And it sounds like, and I'm sorry I didn't catch your name earlier when we were chatting, it sounds like your team are pretty well adapted dealing with that feedback culture, which is amazing. So I'm asked how my session was. It's a question actually, I go into gyms and I can't help myself. I go up to people and go, how's your session today? I'm like, oh, I don't work here, let me come out. Can't help myself. Lifeguard, have a great swim. I'm not saying high five mid, you know, stroke or anything like that, but it's acknowledgement, it's eye contact, it's what I need to know that I've been seen and I'm not that number which you rightfully said. And this time, again, whilst it says manager, same point applies. And the question is, when will I see you again? How does this one feel?
We do have that as well.
There we go. See, and this is the challenge. You can go from option one, and I mean, I'm not a betting kind of woman, but I would imagine that that person will cancel in option one, and if you get the reason for cancellation or you do a follow-up call, they probably told you they relocated. Yeah? Or, as I'll be sharing with you, in fact, I'll say the point now. So we've, Explore, if you haven't heard of the guys of Explore, they're downstairs today. We had the wonderful Joe with us in the room, have conducted some fantastic research. It's called Winning the War on Attrition. You can access the full report. And it shows us that over 50% of cancellations are silent. That's even worse than someone telling you that they've relocated, right? They don't even want to engage. So we'll explore that in just a moment. Pardon the pun. Didn't mean to. Yeah, I know, that's terrible, wasn't it? I didn't even plan it, Guy. So, Dawn, can happen. Yeah. Option one can happen. How do we bridge this gap? What does that look like? How can we make sure option two is the one that people experience consistently?
Training, there's a training on the staff, but it's sometimes you get the younger members of the staff who are younger and might have had a bad day or a boyfriend and they bring it into work. And if you're older, you don't tend to mix that measure, do you? So I mean, I can sort of learn to, I'm older, so I can sort of differentiate between going to work and having hassle of having at home or wherever. But I think when the younger members of staff seem to have trouble with that, whether I'm talking out of turn.
No, and again, feel free to shout if anyone wants to add to that or challenge it in a nice way without it turning into a fight. No, I agree with you. No. Yes, Rob.
Training is vital. People got to know how to do these things, but they also need to be told the why behind the why. They need to be bought in.
It's that purpose, isn't it?
Organisational goals and why it's important, otherwise it's going to be hollow.
Yeah.
It won't stick.
You might be ethos of your whole organisation as well, so you might have younger people or older people, or you might have people there that have been there for 10 years and there's a new person that's really enthusiastic that's coming in, and a 10-year person can be like, well, we always do it like this. So then you get the other side of the coin really, so it's about like consistency with your training model as well to make sure that, you know, the person that's just starting gets the same training experience as somebody that's been there 10 years. It's really hard to bridge that because obviously sometimes people don't like change, and then obviously a new person comes in really enthusiastic and that can sometimes rock the boat, but it's making sure that, you know, everybody gets the same kind of...
Yeah, it's done that. I think with the older, you've got more experience, you've got more life experience, so it's easier, isn't it? And with the young ones, they're only learning, so you know, and me, I'm quite adaptable to learning as they're earning, if you like, and then I'll always sort of try and help them. Yeah.
It's a real challenge, isn't it? Because, I mean, let's face it, there was a report recently that was saying how you've got 5 generations now, potentially up to 5 generations in your workforce, and each generation wants to be communicated with differently and has different expectations. That said, and just to sort of round this up, because this is a whole different session, again, you know, if we are looking to deliver consistency here, other industries achieve it. You know, look at hospitality, you know, there aren't many hotels you can... Now that is a really great point, and thank you for sharing that. Again, recruiting from within, and actually that's how I started my career. I fell in love with training, started off as a receptionist, like I say, because we can empathise, we can understand, we can almost walk in our members' trainers, not that I think anyone would ever really want to do that, but they understand the experience, and they are the most passionate people. Really awesome woman I know came to my Zumba class. She was so nervous, she was so scared, she'd never been to anything before, the gym wasn't for her. She's now front of house, and you know, it's management material. You know, and it's just amazing, isn't it? Because they've got that passion, they've got that sincere, they get it basically. The other point on training, you know, it doesn't have to cost lots of money. You know, a lot of people think training is that nice to have. It is crucial for your business. You know, if you think of the world of sport, we spend, what, 80, 90%, you know, sports teams coaching, training, learning, improving for 10, 20% delivery, you know, for match day. But in business, it's completely the other way around. 80% out on the floor, deliver, and we'll invest a bit of trading for probably that onboarding process, and we won't revisit it again. So, so if this is what you are looking to create, and even if it isn't as many touch points as this, but you want your team to understand that every time they have an opportunity to engage, whether it is a smile, whether it's a nod, whether it is the, when will we see you again? I feel like we're going to start a chorus by the end of today's session. Just me, okay. Then whatever that vision is, our team are out there to deliver it. Now, what we will come on to in a moment is the importance then of measuring that, because of course an experience is subjective. We might think we're delivering this all the time, but our members will be the one that tell us if they are or they're not, and I'll come to that in just a moment. So with our new year, new you, all of these things, you know, 2024 is the year I'm gonna lose weight, tone up, get fit. We really need to understand what matters in part of that acquisition. And then also we'll touch on in a moment the behavioural change for an individual. So this data here, I appreciate it's quite small, and I'm very, very happy to send this out to you guys. Through our consumer insight panel, we went to a demographic of private sector members and asked the question, well, what's important to you? When you're choosing your private club, why do you choose that over another leisure centre? Now, location cost always play a factor, but I'm going to ask you just to park those to one side for the moment. But what you will see here is atmosphere is really, really important. How are you making people feel? They want to see it, they want to feel it before they come and actually experience it for themselves. The other area to note here is value for money. And again, that is subjective, because what I feel is value is very, very different to what Dawn may feel is value. But again, when we start to bring this data together, we can start to really create an experience, both in terms of our social media, digitally, in person, that people get and they're already aligned with you on. So, I'm sure many of you know the competency spectrum. Quick show of hands. Yeah, okay. I won't go into a massive amount of detail on this, but I would, again, one of your takeaways for today, I would suggest when you go back to your teams and share what you've taken from attending today, this would be one thing to highlight with those guys. The vast majority of our members that we know extensively through our research, in fact 78% of inactive users, inactive people, will choose an indoor leisure facility, club, to start their active lifestyle. So it's a huge number. So the vast majority of people coming to our doors are inactive. 76% of inactive people said, 67% of inactive people said that the difference between remaining inactive and becoming active is a warm welcome at their activity. So whether it is reception, whether it is as they're leaving, whether it's when they're going to their class, that warm welcome for that inactive person is vital. And that's going to help them through this competency spectrum. So quick question, who drove here today? Did you think about it, or did you, or did you just arrive? Did you think mirror signal manoeuvre and all that kind of stuff you have to think about when you drive, which is quite concerning. I am on the M5 lane, so maybe avoid me. You just got here, right? Because you're unconsciously competent. Now, may I take you back to your first ever driving lesson? You get in the car. You don't know what you don't know. You know there are things you need to know, but you don't know them. That kind of place. So you have your first driving lesson, and now you do know that those things you don't know, and you get my point, right? And then you have your next driving lesson, your next one, and now you know what you don't know, but you have to really think, there's effort, there's energy, there's commitment to learning this new skill. Who remembers the day of their driving test? Yeah, you now know what you need to know, but you're still having to really focus on it. Until today, you guys told me you just got here and you didn't even realise there was a roundabout. Or is that just me? Again, perhaps watch out later. And this is the journey we need to take our members on. A lot of our members will say that they've had an induction. A lot of our members will say they don't need it. A lot of our members will say they've been members of gyms in the past. But we need to understand, actually, where are they on this? We need to understand their barriers to being physically active. And the one-to-one, the induction, is a massive part of making that happen. So again, January, new year, new me, mindset, whatever. I'm not a fan of that, by the way. A lot of people are coming through and they're going to need our support to get them through this competency spectrum, because then we get them beyond March. Then we become an intrinsic part of their life. You know, Tuesday night, Zumba night, don't put anything in Mum's diary because she's not even going to entertain it. She's at the gym. Saturday morning, we go and have a swim as a family. Whatever it might be, that we're part of someone's life. So in terms of retention and influencing factors, again, we went to our consumer insight panel. We asked, what are the top 3 factors in retaining your membership at an independent gym? Cost, again, is always important. It comes back to the close alignment with value for money, location. But guess what? Atmosphere is still up there. Value for money. Now, what we could also do through our data is drill down and understand the social media platforms that this particular sample are using. And we can do this on a case-by-case basis. So again, we want to meet our members where they are physically, so understand where they are in their activity, personal journey. You know, are they an active person? How much support are you going to need to give them? Or are they completely new to this? And so on social media and digitally, we can start to leverage that and support them as well. Any questions, thoughts, or comments?
Do you have that data dissected down on cost? Because the cost obviously was hit, right? If you've got a budget gym or a high-end cost gym, that cost is going to be potentially quite influential in that data.
It is, but what we have seen through other data sets, again, in terms of that cost, that price point, that again, if somebody is getting value, if they're visiting you once, twice a week, then cost becomes less of a barrier for somebody.
So what I'm saying is, if you looked at that data, different price points, do you see a variation from those stacks? Are they very similar?
Oh, sorry, no, it's pretty consistent across the board. Yeah, absolutely, sorry. So again, really, really important here. And like I said, I'm very happy to share this report with you guys as well. So, but atmosphere is really important. Again, oh yes, please. No, don't apologise.
Cost, is that something that has always been that high in other reports? Or is it the market we're in now at the moment?
It's really interesting, actually.
I'm shocked by that, because particularly where we are an injury rehab and S&C specialist. So we offer more of that recovery edge and deal with more of a healthcare market than any other gym normally would. So for us, we are quite, not overpriced, but we're quite a higher price compared to other gyms in the area. And even though we do okay with that cost, and not many people think twice about paying it, we can't compete on cost versus pure or snap.
And you shouldn't compete on price.
That's why it's just kind of surprised me against the independent gym changing.
Yeah, so again, cost and value are always aligned. So, and what we've seen through all of our research, and we conduct research across, so we're part of one of the biggest, well, the biggest single study in England at the moment called Moving Communities. I mean, it is public sector. But again, we see that cost is a barrier. We consistently run data into what are the barriers to being physically active, and cost is always a barrier. Now, I haven't said COVID yet, I don't think, and I don't really want to talk about it too much, but if COVID did teach us one thing, it's that you can work out in your sitting room, you can go and do whatever, you don't need, dare I say it, a facility as such. But as soon as our doors reopened, people came back because they wanted an experience, they wanted interaction, they wanted that engagement. I think we could say, right, we've got all this free activity going on, people still wouldn't come. It's that perceived barrier. And it's because a lot of people don't see the value in it because they probably had option one as their first ever experience. Does that make sense, kind of how, when we start to unravel it? But you sound quite specialist in what you guys deliver.
Yeah, particularly in the area.
Yeah.
But it's more of that's why I was just seeing whether the cost is something that has increased because we've got 4 competitors on the market in our area, literally between now and January, and that cost is something that is concerning me really badly, to be honest.
And your name is, sorry?
Charlotte.
Charlotte. Lovely to meet you today, Charlotte. Don't be concerned on cost. And one of the things that we'll be talking about in just a moment is a way that we can measure your customer experience, see if they are feeling that they're getting value for money. And that's going to be a strong indicator in terms of how you move forward with your pricing strategy. Because we need to measure that. You know, we need to understand, well, are we delivering on our promise? Yes, no, where are the gaps? Let's fix it. And have real confidence, actually, as you should do, in saying, right, we're going to increase our price by X amount. We, we ran some research on price rise sensitivity and how sensitive were members to a potential price rise in the private sector and the public sector. Again, happy to share that data with you. And what we saw pretty consistently, actually, is that members were prepared to pay between 5 to 10% for a price increase, which, you know, that was at the start of, or when the momentum was building around cost of living crisis. So people are prepared to pay more where they find that value, and I think you guys will be smashing it.
We put ours up like about 20, 25.
Did you? Well, again, we've got stats on that. Some were prepared for it. What we found from that data was members aged 60 plus were the most sensitive to any price rise, whether it was 5, 10, 15, 20%. But the younger members were more accepting of price rises up to 20%. Again, I'll be around after, but I'm happy to share that insight with you guys. So this is, I've already mentioned the Winning the War on Attrition report that was compiled by Explore earlier in the year. And if you haven't downloaded it, again, make a note of it because it's really, really great information. Getting off on the right foot is absolutely vital because we set the scene, we set the tone, we set the expectation, we deliver on our promise, or we start to do that anyway. Now, what we can see here, that for those members in this study who had an induction, and we'll talk about that word in just a moment, stayed on average 4 months longer. Does anyone here have an express induction or bypass it? Does everyone have that one-to-one?
We have a one-to-one and they can get a complimentary 4-week training plan, and then with the view that they upsell at the end of that.
Right.
Keep them on. But they do have the option to skip it if they want, but we always do a welcome call to get them to book the training plan, really.
Yeah, fantastic. And is that measured in terms of how many people complete the 4-week training plan?
Yeah, so we can see when they've achieved PBs, when they've been in, when they've checked in.
Love that.
At the moment, unfortunately, Tom's had the most success out of all of us. But it just depends. Some staff have been better at delivering it, others haven't.
So
it does make a difference.
It really does, doesn't it? And if you guys aren't doing this, I would recommend that you're welcome to share today, Tom. But you know, certainly let's celebrate that success internally. And actually, well, what is Tom doing that's having so much success? It might just be a particular word that you use. So Guy and I speak fairly regularly now, I'd say, together. And we're not a fan of the word induction because, as Guy always eloquently puts it, no one wants to be induced. And I can verify that, but that's a different conversation. And again, a lot of members have been members or have experienced something in the past. So that welcome call, one-to-one, again, repackaging it, I suppose, so that it is something of value, because actually that touch point is absolutely vital. And it might be in that first instance, somebody doesn't want a program. They're like, no, I'm absolutely fine. But it gives you the opportunity to set that expectation out in terms of what they can expect from being a member. No, this is a great question. So
we offer everyone an induction, free PT, but we get less than half to take it up. It means we can't force them, chase them for it. Any suggestions?
Yeah, so activation session works really well. One-on-one welcome. We had some feedback, actually. We were presenting at Elevate earlier in the year, all around winning the war on attrition, exploring this at great depth. And somebody in the audience, as a result of that, changed their induction to be called an activation session and had huge success. I can't quite remember I don't know if you can remember it, Guy, the difference in take-up that they had from that Elevate session. If not, I'll find it and I'll let you know. But it was welcome session.
One session gets done in step 1. Step 1's good, just kind of passes step 2. Just not induction.
Yeah.
There's a few clubs that I work at that have a swear box. Induction. And if you hear someone in the reception say induction,
Yeah, yeah. But, and again, people have this, how long?
-3.
-3 minutes. Who's supposed to be keeping an eye on me right now? Don't let me go.
That's what I thought. No one is. So anyway.
Thank you. Oh my goodness me, that has gone so fast. Activation 1-to-1. Do it. Okay, onboarding, again, leverage technology. If you have a digital strategy there, ensure that's supporting step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Measure that. That is the key message now. Measure. We're currently building a platform called Onboard to support operators, support their members through the first 3 months of membership. And what is particularly important is that we're building in that feedback loop. What's going well? Have you tried this? Have you done that? Da-di-da-di-da. Sleepers to keepers. So we've got them beyond March. And then at around month 5, attendance drops off. And they start to go to sleep, or the lapsed member. Now, this is a whole session really in itself, in the sense that, do we want to wake our sleepers? Are they the best kept secret? Oh, my moral compass doesn't feel so good about this. We went to our consumer insight panel and we asked the question, why do you pay for a membership that you're not using? In the cost of living crisis, in the current climate, why would you pay 30, 40, 50 plus pounds a month and not be accessing it? The thing that really, again, is stuff that, we could probably have a bit of a guess at, but this is, obviously people coming back to us. Over 50% said that basically they hoped that they would become active, that they would one day become motivated. So I can go if I want to. Now, again, I don't know all of you in this room. I'm starting to get to know some of you, which is wonderful. But I know the fact that you're here today is because you're here to create that community, to help people become more active, keep them active, improve their lives, ultimately make them happier. And it would really hurt me to know that if I hadn't onboarded someone effectively, that actually I've just left it all up to hope and chance for that person. Again, I can share this with you. So I've seen some people snap, it's very small. I've got more data on this. I can give you a breakdown by gender, age as well, and regional info. And I can tell you where they drink their coffee. But that's this is why I go over time, isn't it? Can you tell? You won't come to another session of mine. So yeah, it's really important to understand that there is still that desire. People still do want to be active. I shared that with you at the start of today's session when, very rightly, we had 8.5 out of 10 consistently want to be more active. There is no issue there in desire. The issue we have, the challenge we have, is how to make it an intrinsic part of people's lives, make it enjoyable, make it meaningful, make it memorable. Now, you can't manage what you don't measure. We know here 86% of customers are willing to pay more for a better customer experience. So again, if we know we are consistently hitting that nail on the head and delivering on our promise, we can have confidence to put prices up if we need to. Data is at the heart of everything we do. Data should inform every strategic decision that you make. Don't get me wrong, gut feel is always a great indicator, but to evidence it, to support it with insight, you know that you can then pivot, have an agile approach within your business and improve things where needed. Now, again, a bit of a plea from me. We haven't really got to talk about a lot of feedback today, but customer feedback, member feedback, throughout their journey from a tour, after their activation session, step 1, creating an environment where, I loved the fact that I had the story earlier of people will come down and tell me straight away, no, get rid of that instructor. It's hard, but at least you know where you stand. That is magic. When you can create an environment where every member feels they can come up and say, hey, that was great today. Or, do you know what? This could have been done better. Then you start to seal that leaky bucket and retain your members for longer. So feedback isn't feedback. It is vital business intelligence. Now, there are many ways of collating feedback. And before we finish up today on my minus whatever minute I'm on now, I was going to run through lots of CX metrics, but I'm going to focus on one. And if arguably, I feel this is the most important question that you could ever ask within your business. If I was to go back and open up my own operation today, tomorrow, I would not operate without asking this question frequently. And the question is the Net Promoter Score question. Out of interest, quick show of hands, who currently has knows what MPS is? Yep. Okay, so a few of us. So for my friends here who may not have met this before, MPS is a vital metric in terms of measuring experience. It looks at the direct correlation between business growth and loyalty. I've got a feeling you guys don't want satisfied customers. You want those long-term raving fans that I shared with you at the start today. Now, your raving fans, so sorry, let me go back a stage. So in any business, it doesn't have to just be within our sector. This question goes out regularly. You might have even completed this. Now, the Net Promoter Score is so powerful because it probes both dimensions of loyalty. So on the one hand, when people receive this, particularly your members, they'll say, well, can I get on the tread? Can I get on the care? Can I park? Is it clean? All these important factors. But where MPS packs its punch is it says to your members, we value you, we want to listen to you, we share similar values, you're part of this, and it's a motive. So what happens on receipt of this survey? People will score you 9 or 10, your raving fans, your quality, your members out there bringing in quality leads, quality referrals, raving about you and defending you. If something goes wrong, they're the first one to say, hey, it's normally great here, okay? But they're out there selling you, saying, I just had an awesome class, I just had a wicked PT session, I'm going through this recovery program at the moment, and I can now run around with my kids. I feel great. These are your members. 7 and 8's your fence sitters. These are very interesting, particularly, well, at any time, but if you have got competitors opening up in your area, learn from your passives, because if you go to them and say, well, what's the one thing I could do differently? They know the answer. It's usually an operational thing, but they know it. And then you have your detractors, your 0 to 6, and these are the members that if they were to come in with a neon flashing light saying, I'm going to leave, I'm going to leave, I'm going to leave, they are. So, but when we ask the question, we understand what's not right for them, we have an opportunity to intervene and save them, essentially. Now, as part of our offer, as being here with Independence, put my teeth back in, we are offering a free MPS. I'm wrapping up. I'm speaking even quicker. So, I'll share the QR code, but come and see me because I'd love to support you guys with a free Net Promoter Score survey as a result of you being here today. And lastly, let's share this, because when you have your MPS survey with us, these are the sorts of comments you'll get. This was from our data last week. We worked with Torvine. Now, when we talked about their why, what they wanted to create, they wanted people to feel like they were at home. They wanted people to feel like a family. And I absolutely had to promise them that I didn't make this up because I did it before I delivered their training session. And this was a comment, this was a 10 that came through a couple of weeks ago. And I'll just share this with you now. The centre is like my second home. Tick, we're delivering on that. And all the wonderful people that work there are like family, tick, to me. And I can honestly say that I don't know how I would cope mentally and physically without being able to attend the gym and the lessons that I do. Thanks to every one of you, and here's to many more years enjoying your company at the centre in general. Through MPS, you can collate that feedback, you can understand what you're doing really, really well, and you can celebrate it. Get it out on your socials, do more of it. Here's your free MPS, but if you can't scan it in time, I'll be outside. Oh, sorry, I got a bit too click happy there. There you go. Let me move out of the way. Okay, and here's our events, and there's my details if you ever want to talk to me again. No, it's my fault, I'm sorry. Thanks everyone. Thank you.